My name is Cierra Desmaratti, and I attended College of DuPage from fall 2017 to May 2020, and I was a bioengineering major there. There are a variety of careers you can pursue in STEM, and COD has so many amazing programs from the engineering, the math, the hydrology programs. But you also shouldn't get deterred if there's a STEM career you want to pursue and it's not explicitly listed on the COD STEM page. And so, what I would recommend is doing your research and seeing what the variety of STEM careers out there are. And there's some really helpful links that will also explain what these career paths entail. And so, once you find a career that really inspires you and you think you would like to pursue, my first recommendation would be to look up four-year universities that have that program you're interested in. And you're going to want to reach out to professors in that program to find out what's the coursework there that they require so you can take classes at COD that are going to transfer towards that coursework. And it's really important to maintain relationships with people at the colleges you want to transfer to and the admissions office so you can make sure that you're on track to transfer there. And also, it's important to find out how you're going to stand out as an applicant so you can make sure that you're able to compete with the other applicants that want to get into that program. Another important aspect I would mention when preparing for your future STEM career is networking. And while you're in college is the most important time for networking in your life. And you should definitely start building a LinkedIn profile, which is an online social media for networking professionals. And especially now that we're in a world where everything is virtual, that's how professionals and recruiters are going to look you up and find out information about you and find out what kind of student and job candidate you are. So it would definitely be really beneficial to look into COD's Career Services Center and start learning what are some helpful resume tips, because your resume is going to speak for you before you have a chance to meet recruiters if you get a chance to meet them. And definitely create a LinkedIn and reach out to professionals that have the job that you want, because no one is ever going to tell you no, that they won't help you or give you advice. And this is really helpful to get insight into what your job and the career would look like also. So STEM is really amazing because as a whole, you get to benefit and improve the foundation of society and make people's lives so much healthier, safer, and just make the world a much better place to live in. And some examples of just how STEM professionals benefit our society are: we have public health professionals, which are responsible for determining how communities get access to medical resources and making sure that lower income communities can get better access. We have civil engineers that help make sure we can have access to multiple forms of safe transportation and making sure we can receive goods and resources that are needed for a society to function. And our government needs STEM professionals to be able to know how we can create plans for public health, regulating national security, and building a healthier economy. And especially if you're a female or minority going into STEM, you're bringing more diversity and insight and background into these big decisions that determine how society is going to run for a multitude of different kinds of people. So you being here yourself is already changing our world and the types of just innovations that are going to exist in our future. So there is a variety of STEM organizations that you can join at COD. And the best way to see the list of all the available ones you can join is to go to the Student Life website where you can explore the different types of clubs, what are their missions, what type of events do they host. And I highly encourage that you join clubs because lots of times in interviews, a lot of the questions are going to revolve around leadership. Explain a time you worked in a team using communication skills. So it is super important that you definitely start exploring these roles or early on and seeing what your interests lie, because that's going to get you a lot of exposure to different fields also. And they may have networking events like I highlighted earlier, which is super important to immersing yourself into the professional world. So there's no limit on where you can transfer for a four-year university. The biggest question is, what program are you interested? Where do you see your career going? And that's how you're going to limit and determine which schools are worth applying to and researching. And once you've done your research, figured out which program and where you want to see your career heading, it's important to talk with your counselor, highlight your goals, so that way they're aware of how they can best help you prepare for transitioning from COD to your four-year school. And as I said, it's important to network and reach out with the admissions counselors at the four-year schools and with professors in the program, because it definitely helps to help your name stand out as an applicant, because they're going to receive hundreds or possibly thousands of applications for that one program. And you can get a head start on figuring out what's going to make you stand out amongst the rest of the stack of papers. And now that everything's virtual, I highly recommend reaching out and asking to set up virtual meetings with the professors and admissions officers so you can sit down and meet face to face and on camera and ask questions about the recruiting process and the application, so that way you can be prepared to get your dream job. Your number one resource as a computer science student is definitely to go directly to your professor. Your professors are your number one networking resources, because you can find out what their career path was and seek out advice on if you're interested in pursuing a similar track as them, or they may know people that can help you with wherever you're trying to go. And if you're ever struggling or having trouble with what's going on in a class, or maybe you have a lot going on in your personal life, especially during COVID-19, always reach out to your professor, because they can help accommodate you and create a personalized solution. So that way you're still able to get the learning and resources that you need. And it's really, really critical that you go to STEM events and you put yourself out there, you talk to professionals, work on your elevator pitch, which we also can do through the COD Career Services. And also start looking at internships. Fall is a huge hiring season for internships, so now is definitely the time to look. And if you're still a freshman and maybe you don't have a lot of qualifications, that's okay, because recruiters are going to remember your name if you keep on persisting in applying every year. And I would also mention, for computer science, there is an Argonne National Laboratory internship that opens up at the end of January or early February. And you can reach out to Dr. Tom Carter for more information about that. But they specifically are trying to hire COD students, especially ones that participate in clubs like Engineering Club or the Society of Women Engineers, which is really critical that you join, especially if you're a minority or a female. So I would definitely recommend you apply to that, because that definitely eliminates a lot of competition from outside schools. And as I can't say it enough, take advantage of the Career Services Center, because it's really important to start creating those strong resumes, learn how to negotiate salaries, do mock interviews, because it's going to a lot of interviews have similar questions. So it's good to start practicing that now and developing those strong communication skills. And it's important to also look into which schools have transfer agreements with COD. And I know for computer engineering, the engineering program has transfer agreements with Illinois Institute of Technology, U of I Champaign, Urbana-Champaign, and we also have an agreement with University of Illinois at Chicago. So I would definitely explore that and reach out to professors in the STEM division to inquire more about that. So the STEM engineering program focuses on preparing you for different engineering pathways. And engineering is different from the rest of the STEM field because it incorporates a lot of rigorous math, a variety of science courses, computer skills, and technology. So it's really mixing a variety of fields into one. And it's really cool and different because you have to utilize different pieces of information in order to solve problems. And there's just really a variety of fields you can also pick from in engineering, whereas in other fields, if you're doing just physics, it's just physics, or chemistry, it's just chemistry. In engineering, you have the best of both worlds. So if you're someone who's thinking you really like math, but you also want to incorporate different types of science, engineering is definitely a pathway I would highly recommend, because you can utilize different assets and bring them together. My favorite STEM class that I took was Chemistry 1551. I really loved the labs and just the ability to mix unique chemicals together and see the reactions of it changing colors and heating up. And I just enjoy working with my hands and doing anything where I can visually see the outcome of the experiment. So that was personally one of my favorite semesters when I took that course.